What you're looking at right here is the Phoibos Delphinus, and it's a great example of an ideal affordable dive watch. Or at least it is for a dress diver. And it's also a great example of just how far affordable watches have come since I started this channel. Because while this one is one that is sort of done by the numbers, it's also one that gives you pretty much everything you could want at a great price. And let me show you that. And we might as well start off with the spec monster aspect of it. First off, this watch is 39mm, something enthusiasts have been very vocal about, creating smaller divers. And evidently, Phoibos has been listening. So here they want to touch smaller, as well as having a correspondingly narrower lug-to-lug of 46.5. Then pair that with a total thickness of just under 12mm, and it's a fantastic size suitable for a lot of people, including many of you in the slim-wristed club. And on my 7¼ inch wrist, it's extremely comfortable. Easily a watch you can wear all day, and especially on the beads of rice bracelet that tapers from 20 to 16. Comfort is definitely one of this thing's biggest strengths, and it's one of the best Phoebi or Phoebus's is whatever the plural is that I've actually seen for that. I always preferred Phoebi, but usually got comments whenever I said it. Now, that 11.9mm also includes a closed case spec, complete with a Kraken on it, as well as a not too tall double dome sapphire with AR. In addition to the screwed down crown, you also have 20mm of lug width, a ceramic bezel insert, 200 meters of water resistance, and a thin Miyota 9039 movement powering it all. Which is another thing I think a lot of people have been asking for, or at least I've been seeing comments about. Having a movement with a higher beat rate and a smoother second hand in an affordable watch, as it seems like there's some sort of basic Seiko NH fatigue going on among affordable enthusiasts. There's also this Beads of Rice bracelet, which has solid end links with quick release, a solid fully articulating link secured with screws, and a fully milled clasp with a quick adjust system. So pretty much everything you could want. And before we get any further, I should also let you guys know that Phoibos provided this watch to the channel, and they aren't asking for it back. So that's why the promotional tag is up. I know some of you care, some of you don't, just trying to be transparent here. And I should also point out that it has been quite a while since I last saw Phoibos. I think maybe almost a year. I just never happened to hear from them this year whenever they had a new release. But now that I have, it's nice to see how far they've come. I should also point out that I'm a little late to the party with this one. Phoibos asked me if I could review it, I told them I could do it in December, but at this point, there are a lot of different options that have already sold out or pretty close to selling out. So if you really are interested in this one, you probably want to act sooner than later. But like I said, pretty much anything anyone's been asking for recently is here, which also includes some unusual dial options. Which, to be fair here, is a playbook straight out of Zelos. Something that I think a lot of people are copying these days. But they are copying it for a reason. So here with the Delphinius, there are 3 textured sunburst dial options. You got a black, a silver, and a blue. In addition to an aventurine and this one, which is a stone I've never quite seen before called Amazonite. Which is honestly pretty cool. It's kind of this light green blue speckled stone. Very unusual. But I think it works really well with this dress diver motif they got going on here. And by dress diver, I mean a diver that has some more flashier elements to help it stand out. That winds up giving it more of a dressier presence than a straight tool watch. Which in some ways makes it a little bit more of a sports watch. It's less traditional than some of the more old school divers out there, but something I think is more suited for every occasion. And here, with the Beads of Rice bracelet and the various dial options, that puts us as more of a dress diver. But there are still some tooly elements here, and I think the case is a big one, as it's mostly brushed with some polished chamfers just to highlight the sleek case shape. The finish here is also pretty good, and the only thing I'd complain about is that the back edge back here, and especially near the lugs, is a touch sharp. Doesn't bother me while wearing it, but you kind of notice it when you pick it up and handle it. And to be fair, that's not really uncommon in this price range, so I can't ding them too much for that. Now the bezel action here is not common, because it's just about perfect. It's 120 click, unidirectional, and the action is fantastic. Just nice clicky goodness all around. And with this particular colorway, the bezel insert they gave it is a little bit of a bland gray, kind of boring. It actually blends in with the case a bit. but I think it is kind of a good choice as it doesn't really stand out or distract from this dial. It lets the unusual color pattern be the main star, so to speak. And while the dial material itself is pretty different, pretty exotic, the overall dial layout here is fairly standard, just like the case, where you have a mixture of small dots and triangles, as well as a white painted chapter ring on the outer edge. There's a date window down at the 6 with some nice framing, but there's also some dateless options available, if they're still in stock. And the dateless version is there just in case you want even more symmetry than what's here. The hands that Phoibos put on this are a little bit thin, but they do seem to stand out nicely against the Amazonite. And especially the red-tipped second hand, that was a great choice. Although you can't say that about everything, because here the raised metallic chapter ring, that kind of blends in a bit. But just like the bezel, I think it was done on purpose, again, just to not distract from the Amazonite, as well as to help maximize the area and just the presence this overall dial gives, which winds up creating a really nice balance between size and presence, as well as usability and readability. Now, as for the Lume is great. I think Phoibos lists this one as having 15 layers of blue BGW9. So it's nice and bright, and it's also able to go the distance, easily outpacing a similarly priced Seiko. So pretty good Lume here for the price. Bottom line is that it's great. Now, this may be one that's sort of done by the numbers, or kind of done by following a checklist of what they needed to include. So there's not a lot different or unique here other than the stone dials, which is also something a lot of brands are using these days. But what is here is a solid diver with pretty much everything you could want at a great price. And when it comes down to it, there are only 3 potential issues I could see here. And again, potential. The first is that if you're someone who wants more of a straight tool watch, you're someone that doesn't like the dress diver aspect of this one. With its beads of rice bracelets and these fancy dials, this one's just not going to do it for you. If you're still interested in Phoibos and that's what you want, go check out their Wavemaster. And the same goes for those who want a bigger diver, someone who misses the old 42mm classics. For them, this 39mm isn't going to cut it. However, personally, I think it's a great size. With its minimalist case design and the thin bezel, there's just more of an emphasis on the dial here. So while it is only a 39, it has a bigger presence than that, as well as it makes it extremely comfortable. So for me, this one hits the sweet spot in terms of balancing comfort and presence with readability. And the last potential issue here is price. Sort of, because the price itself is pretty good. MSRP here ranges from $450 to $475 depending on the dials. But if you remember anything about Phoibos, you'll remember that there are always discount codes floating around out there. And right now for this specific model, there's a 20% off code that lasts until the 20th. And even after that, I think the code for the channel gives you 10% off should still be good. But as long as you get that 20%, that brings it down to $360 to $380. And these days, that's pretty good for a watch with a 9000 Miyota. I mean, it's pretty close to what San Martin's selling their new hot SN01444 for, as well as what I think Jody is selling his Ascent for. So the real price here is good, but my issue is more with just the whole discount code game thing that they've been doing forever. And to be fair, they're not alone in this. But to me, if there's a code that's always out there, then it's not really a sale. It's just you're kind of hiding the actual price. Or you're using it just to try to convince people they're getting a better deal. And I think it's just better off at this point. You know, we played enough games over the years to just list it for the price you want to sell it at. But other than that, and to be fair, those issues or potential issues weren't even really about the watch itself. But other than that, there's nothing really to complain about with this one. It's good. Maybe great, and overall Phoibos did a fantastic job with this one. It's a watch that's really easy to recommend, kind of a no-brainer, which is probably why they've been selling out. But as usual, let me know your thoughts on the Delphinius down below. Or if you can think of another great 39mm diver, let me know that as well. And as always, you guys know what to do down below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. I'm Shane, this is Relative Time, and I'll see you next time.